Welcome back to Momentous Struggle, a Star Wars Shatterpoint podcast. On today's episode, Aubrey and I are going to start taking a look at all the new boxes we're getting this year, starting with, of course, where Aubrey wants to start the light side because he's Rebel Scum. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. How you doing, Aubrey?
Oh man, I know your house is dealing with this too. I've got two adults sick in my house, and so we're all kind of scrambling, trying to take care of them. But of course, it's mom and grandma. So who's the best at taking care of people? It's definitely not me. But here we are.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you.
Mm.
Tis the season to be sick, and I'm just glad that I'm ended up because I ended up getting it in my house, and I'm just glad it's right before I got it before LVO because that would have been miserable to sit there and get it in like the week of LVO and just like probably not have to go or and because I'm not gonna be the outbreak monkey of the Las Vegas Open, that's for sure.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of convention crud running around without you adding it to it. So I'm glad
Exactly.
you're. I'm glad if you're gonna get it now. That's always my fear right before big events. I'm like, everybody, stay away from me for like the next 3 weeks.
Right. Right.
Don't get me sick.
Yeah. No, that's the unfortunate piece of conventions is always getting sick. I used to work for the local con here, so it was just okay. It's not if, it's when. When are you going to catch con crud? So
Yeah. I'm just lucky. Apparently, my flu vaccine is doing what it's supposed to because I have the constitution of a kitten inside a wet paper bag that just got thrown in the river. So, uh, yeah, it's usually I get sick if this many people are sick in my house, but apparently I won the lottery.
yeah, I mean, I know you working in a library, you're like constantly always sick. So I'm surprised that you have like come out unscathed from the holidays so far. It's pretty lucky for you, I guess.
Yeah. The first year I worked in libraries, I was sick. I started in December, and I was sick the whole month of January. And because it was a new job, I had to just kind of like do my best to just work through it. So I was constantly like, I'm pretty sure I was actually sick twice that month, but you wouldn't know because it just blended together.
Yeah.
It was awful.
So have you had a chance to do any hobbying or anything with the game over the last couple of weeks?
So I mean, I've only gotten the one game in that I talked about on our last episode, but I have been doing the hobby side. So LVO is coming up. They have that casual Shatterpoint event that they're going to be doing, and they need Kenny from
Zion's
God,
finest.
Zion's finest. I'm like, I know the names of things. I promise. Uh, is was looking for terrain, so I'm working on getting mine together. We were talking about this before the podcast started. As long as you don't look at it too closely, Todd, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I did not quite realize, despite having done enough minis, just how much time it was gonna take to get paint roughly where I wanted it to be. So it's gonna look a little messy, but hey, it'll be painted. It will be ready. It will be good to go. We're just gonna call it a first draft. How about that?
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's. I mean, like I said, ultimately we're just wanting to get enough terrain so that people can play the games and have a good time at LVO. I mean, like I said, there's nothing large coming out of it, so I'm looking forward to it. So I'll definitely be up there for that event. Primarily going up for MCP, but I'm excited for it. So no, so yeah, let's go ahead and kind of just jump into the boxes. It's kind of crazy. I was like looking at them like the first 2 months of the year, we're getting 5 boxes. I'm like, if they keep up at this rate, people are gonna be broke or not be able to keep up. So I'm assuming we're gonna slow down because MCP wise, they only have one box coming out in the first 2 months, and then I think in March they have a couple other boxes coming out. That's when all their new mutants come out. So I'm assuming they're going to hit us pretty hard up front with these 5 boxes. Then maybe we'll have a little bit of a break. So at least that's my hope because I don't want to have like 2 to 3 boxes coming out every month. I think that would be just way too much.
Ooh, yeah. I think this, and again, just you know, full on speculation. I think this is just born out of the fact that they were trying to get these boxes done for the 40th anniversary, and then whatever happened from a logistic perspective delayed them. And I think they just want to get them out now
Mhm.
because they were supposed to have been spread out all over the 40th anniversary year of Return of the Jedi, and then that didn't happen. So that's at least that's what I assume. Because please, AMG, do not follow the Wizards of the Coast model of releasing like 5 things every 3 months, because that is part of why I am joining you all in the tabletop community and leaving Magic, because I there have been so many releases in the past few months that I have already fallen behind, and it's only been 6 months, and I'm already looking at cards every once in a while, going, "Oh, what's that?
Yeah,
Oh, I never saw that before." And we're only talking 6 months of me not paying attention.
yeah.
So please, AMG, spread it out so my wallet is not sad.
Well, and like product overload. I mean, you can only you don't want to get in that position where it's like, oh, I have this box, I haven't even painted it or put it on the table, and oh, 2 or 3 more boxes have come out. It's I think that's the bigger piece of it is like people don't want to be in that position, and I don't think they're going to be. I mean, the pace in which everything came out, I think is going to be great. I know that we have one more. We have Plo Koon, and I think we only have like one more Clone Wars because we haven't even seen when Hondo's coming out yet. So, so we're definitely going towards the year of the the rebels and the year of the Galactic Civil War for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I figure we're probably this year. I suspect we're just gonna see. So everything that was spoiled will probably be released at some point over, like, say, to the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year, and then we'll probably they seem to be way more sedate in their spoiler philosophy, as opposed to, again, Magic, where you would get a set spoiled, it wouldn't even be out, and then they would be spoiling the next set. And
Yeah,
you're like, wait, what are these cards? Are these, oh, this is the set after this set? I haven't even bought this set yet.
yeah.
So I have a feeling we'll probably get some spoilers, at Adepticon, maybe, or maybe a little bit after, and then uh, we probably won't see anything else new. I mean, getting released through the rest of this year. It's probably just going to be getting the Spectres and Thrawn and Bad Batch and everything we know about.
Yeah.
At least that's my guess.
I would think so. I mean, we'll probably learn more. Like Adepticon, definitely, we should be learning more when that comes around. Because if I don't, you were not quite in the scene at that point in time, but last year at Adepticon, they had a lot of they had a whole show at the end of Adepticon where they went through all of the things that were coming for the next year, and that a lot of spoilers came out there. So there might be some new things getting spoiled at Adepticon. I mean, that's the biggest show, in the States. So they're definitely probably going to have something coming out there that to share with us and everything along those lines. So, no, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I know you and I are both going to be at Adepticon, so we'll be excited to sit there and see all that information and everything that they're going to be sharing with us.
I'm excited. I have been itching to go to a con just because I'm used to going to Magic tournaments. But again, sorry, if you like Magic, keep playing Magic. Don't listen to me. But like, even their latest like big tournaments, big events haven't really been that appealing. They've just gotten so expensive. Like, you can't move without spending money, it felt like.
Yeah,
So
no, not. Yeah, I've kind of. I mean, I kept on playing Magic while I was in the miniature gaming community, but I just kind of went away from it. It's not the same as it used to be when we first started playing and everything. So very different now. Well, let's go ahead and jump
oh,
into who we're looking at today. So we're going to look at the Luke box, the Luke with Leia Bosch, and our Bar2 D2 and Lando. So I'm pretty excited for this new Luke. He's again something new. We're going into Galactic Civil War era, so we're going to be looking at a lot of new things. But he isn't like just like most of the other big primaries. He's a seven squad point one with three, but he only has 3 4s instead of the typical 4 that we've seen, which is interesting. But it definitely there's a reason behind why I think that is, and that's in his first ability that we'll get into. But that's Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. He's a Force user, Jedi Rebel Alliance tags. He is a primary with 11 stamina and 3 durability. So, what do you think about him? Like, just right off the cuff, like looking at his like the baseline stats.
I mean, this feels like Luke Skywalker in his prime. This is he's clearly designed to be both the Luke Skywalker at the beginning of Return of the Jedi and the end of Return of the Jedi. Like he has abilities that are flavorful in both respects. So I mean, this is the Luke Skywalker standing before the Emperor and saying, "No, I am a Jedi like my father before me," and he feels like it. It is great. I feel like his design, just overall, looking at all the abilities, just feels like a slam dunk. I mean, I haven't done any testing. I know some people will have already gotten on TTS and done some things there, but just reading his abilities, reading his stance cards, feels like a knockout of the park right away.
Yeah, there's some really interesting abilities. I mean, it's the one thing I noticed with him, he doesn't have any type of abilities or within his card that immediately tie him to any given tag of any kind. Like there's no synergies with Rebel Alliance that he has. There's no synergies with Jedi or Force users that are tied to his card in general. We might see some more as that comes down the pipe, when we start getting more Rebel Alliance characters and things along those lines. So he's going to be able to easily slot into most lists. Is like really what it comes down to. You can really build around him very easily, I think.
Yes, yes, I absolutely agree. And again, I know I'm the lore guy, but it feels very flavorful because if you think about Return of the Jedi, even Luke was on the squad that went to Endor to destroy the shield generator. He ends up leaving and doing his own thing and going and facing Vader and the Emperor. So again, just it feels like a win. It also feels like Luke Skywalker, depending on whichever story, whichever canon or legends or both. Luke always helped the New Republic or the Galactic Alliance or uh, the Resistance. Man,
Mm.
I was like, what do they call him in the sequel trilogy? Like he always helped, but he was never a part of the structure. After the Battle of Hoth, he kind of just goes and does his own thing outside of what more or less what the Rebel Alliance is doing. So I feel like, yeah, no, it's good. I want Luke to be used a lot. Like it's Luke Skywalker. Come on, everybody! Like he was the first Jedi for a lot of us little tykes growing up, and the green lightsaber. Like, let's go.
Yeah, no, he was definitely what started it all for pretty much like all of the our us old school Star Wars fans and everything like that. I mean, just to show my age, I remember seeing Return of the Jedi in the theater, so it's definitely it definitely brings back some good memories there. But no, so let's go ahead and jump into his abilities. He does have that on activation ability of Return of the Jedi. So at the start of his activation, basically he can jump and can refresh a force, and that's why I think he comes in with the 3 force instead of the 4, because you're always going to be regenerating force with him, or refreshing force I should say, with him. Looking at if you do use him on the Shatterpoint card, that's 2 refreshes every order deck basically.
Yeah, that's a lot of force. And I remember when I first saw this card, I went, "Wait, 7 squad points, 3 force? What's going on here?" Then you read this ability, and you're like, "Oh, that's why." Okay.
Yeah, so you're definitely getting just like not even having to work for it, just automatically getting the force refresh, which is really nice. You can either profit by this or be destroyed for a force. That's an interesting ability. So basically, you choose an active objective within 2. So you definitely want to get him into the fight with this ability. He's going to have to be up there pretty close, but each enemy contesting that basically can either are allow can make the decision to dash, and then one of the characters in this unit may dash towards the objective and make a 5 dice attack. It's a nice ability, but it's another one of those where you're not making the choice, your opponent is, and the opponent's going to make the best choice for them. I mean, because it could be something like that where they may still be able to dash, stay on the point, and stay out of melee range, depending. So it's one of those where is this going to this isn't always going to work, and it's going to kind of hurt. It might not. You might be wasting force with this, I guess is probably the best way to put it, other than to get a dash out of it.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to examine all the angles before using this ability because it's going to feel really bad if you end up. And I feel like I'm probably going to do this a few times where you're not going to pay quite enough attention. You're going to be like, "Yeah, I'm going to make you run away." They run away. You can't attack them, but they're still on the point. Yeah, that's not. You got to be you got to pay attention with this one, but that's okay. That's part of this game. Positioning is incredibly important, and again, this is a super flavorful ability. Like I remember as a little kid, Luke Skywalker just walking in by himself, and we've already established that Jabba is a scary crime lord. Like we've seen what he's done to Chewie, to Leia at this point. The droids aren't happy. Nobody's happy. And then Luke just strolls in there by himself and starts threatening him. Ah, great,
I mean,
great.
to be
Also, I want to see
fair,
Jabba
to be
run away.
to be fair though, most teenage boys did not have a problem with what Jabba did to Leia. They were like,
Uh,
it's okay. It's you know." So I mean, it's
the biggest war crime in Star Wars is nothing Chopper did. It was Han Solo being blind for that entire part of the story.
that was pretty awful. Poor guy. But so overall, I mean, like that is a great ability if you use it properly. But like I said, I don't like my opponent having the ability to sit there and decide what they're going to be doing with their character because, I mean, they might be able to put themselves in a much better position and than that you want them to be in. So it's interesting. It'll be very interesting, like what happens there. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, so then he also does have two innate abilities, not counting his normal tactical or his normal main ability. He has deflect and I will not fight you are those two. We all know what deflect is already. We've seen that quite a bit. I do like that he has that ability though. That if there is a failure during a attack or a ranged attack, the attacking unit suffers 2 damage. So we've seen these before. It's great to have those on the characters when we can have it on them.
Yeah, yeah, and this is back to the standard. Jedi have deflect, Sith have riposte. Is that
Yes.
how you say it? I don't think I've ever said that word out loud. Anyway, uh, funny. I do swords, and I've never said that out loud, but I don't do fencing. Anyway, uh, yeah, I mean it makes sense. These reactive abilities. These reactive abilities are just they're situational. That's why they're called reactive,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sometimes they're going to be useful, sometimes they're not. I will not fight you. I'm very intrigued about because it feels a little reminiscent of Count Dooku's ability. What was that one called? What is it? Twice the
Twice the
no,
pride,
not
double the
twice the
fall.
pride. No, no, the other one. Surely you can do better. The one that they errated before it even started. Because this is weird
Yeah, surely you can do better.
that yeah, because it's weird that you have to pay the force when he's targeted, and then after the attack is resolved, you get to find out if it was worth the force you spent. I mean, this is really strong. 2 heals and a jump and flavorful, but I wonder if it's gonna get errated or not because it kind of has the same fail bads as Dooku's where you could spend the force but then nothing might happen and so they changed it. But I don't know. Maybe they think this ability's stronger, so they left it alone.
Maybe I don't think it's as much of a gamble as the Dooku one because the Dooku one you basically the way it was written you had to just guess do I spend one force, do I spend two, do I spend three, and if
Yeah.
and if you spent more, if you spent three and they only had one that you could convert, then it was a waste of force. Where this one you're only spending one force and they're getting two recovers and a jump on a slightly less impactful gamble. Plus he's refreshing force on the start anyway. So I don't know if this I don't see this one getting errated just because it's not as impactful. Like it's not as much of a tax against you as that ability that Dooku had.
That is true. That is true. Dooku's ability could cost you a lot of force if you weren't sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, all right, all right. I will say, even though I really like Luke's abilities, I will, and he is clearly setting himself up to be a pretty strong character that can slot into a lot of places. But you got to pay attention. Don't just fire off all his abilities every time you activate him, just because you know you can get the force back later. Is all I'm saying. Like you gotta really think about his turn.
Yeah, I mean, force economy always being what it is, you don't want to just spend your forces without thinking about it. You definitely want to use it effectively, because it is a resource and it is a finite resource depending on who else you're bringing in your squad. So you definitely don't want to sit there and just, oh, I'm going to use all of his abilities, and then all of a sudden you're without force and with 2 or 3 cards left in your order deck. So you definitely need to be careful with that for sure. But overall, I mean, it's like we were saying that his active ability, you're probably not going to use that every activation. It can be used quite frequently. I'd be worried to make sure that you are using it properly and actually effectively utilizing it when it matters the most.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So his last ability is I am a Jedi like my father before me. This one is pretty cool because basically all it happens with this one is when his order card is in the order deck or in reserve, he's immune to expose. If it's not, he's immune to being pinned, which is amazing.
Oh, it's so good. Those are, I believe, everyone agrees at this point, except in specific situations, pin and expose are the best conditions to get on units because movement and positioning matters, and taking away those expertise dice is phenomenal, especially on certain characters. And yeah, yeah. I get this is kind of you got to keep track of Luke a little more and like, oh, he has immunity to something. What is it right now?
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's cool. I like AMG has done such a good job of just using these iconic lines from the movies and turning them into abilities that make sense. Like it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Without a doubt. So looking at the overall their stance cards, there's these ones are pretty interesting as well. So on his Form 5 side, his Demso, basically, if he gets the perfect dice roll, you're looking at what is it? It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He could do up to 11 damage with a perfect dice roll.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty not well. 6, 7, 8, 9,
Plus,
10. Isn't it
plus,
10?
plus the expertise.
Oh, I see. I see. There's another damage. There's another damage on the
Mm.
lightsaber. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 11 damage. No, no joke. This is his heavy hitting side. I like to think of this side as that moment when Vader threatens Leia and Luke just goes to town on him at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like, nope, we are just taking you down, dude. That's what this side is for.
Yep. No, definitely a good one. I mean, he does. There's not as many conditions on here. You're either going to get an expose or a pin when it splits and potentially a strain, but that's 4 and 5 down the tree. So going to be kind of rough to sit there and do that. But this is just pretty much a straight damage and a little bit of movement. No shoves on this tree at all, though.
Yeah, this is the side where Luke is already in position, and you need him to do a beatdown. The reposition is nice. I mean, three successes gets you a reposition, so I mean that's pretty good. Like we kind of average that most characters, especially primaries, get about 3 successes, give or take a little bit. And yeah, yeah. This side is the I'm beating you down, and you aren't going to be able to do anything about it because I'm Luke freaking Skywalker.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty good one. Pretty good one. Overall, I mean, his defensive expertise chart isn't too bad. It's got 1 to 3 gets you a block and reduces a crit to a regular hit, and then 4+ gets you 2 blocks and reduces a crit to a hit. But yeah, no, this is a straight offensive side. I mean, you're not really worried about the defensive here. I mean, you're only rolling 5 defensive dice, ranged or melee, and this one has 8 attack dice. And he does not have a ranged attack either, which we kind of expect with most Jedi.
Yep. Yep. It seems pretty straightforward. I mean, yeah, you're definitely not going to want to leave him on this side if you're worried about him taking damage. But uh, I definitely feel like, spoilers, you're probably going to be on the back side more often than the front side. But you're going to want to remember that this is the side that you want to be on when you're going to deal some damage.
Yeah, if you're trying to put somebody down, if you're trying to get that momentum for wounding somebody, this is definitely the side that you want to be on. But Form 3 Sorisu, this is probably, like you said, where most of the time you're going to be on. Granted, you have 6 defensive dice, you only have 7 attack dice, but I think the expertise chart on this one is a little bit better. You have a crit with one expertise. 2 to 3 gives you 2 crits, and 4 plus gives you 2 crits and a jump. So this one's a lot better in comparison to, on the Form 5 side, 1 to 2 is giving you 2 just regular hits, not even, or regular strikes, not even crits. 3 gives you a crit and a strike, and then 4 plus gives you that crit, the strike, and the 1 damage. So I think I like this expertise chart a little bit better.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. What's our favorite thing in this game, everybody?
It's
One
crits, yeah.
success. Well, yes, that, but also one success, shove. Two success, two
Yep.
shoves.
Yeah, definitely
Like,
on his tree
yes,
is amazing.
yes, please.
Yeah, that's
Oh
amazing
yeah.
on his tree. Where the first 2 has 2 shoves, so even if they have steadfast, you're pushing them at least once. And it's 2 damage on his first one, 3 on his 3 damage total if you go 2 down the tree, unless of course you're doing the recovers on the top side. So it's I like this tree. It's there's a little bit more going on, a lot of movement, a lot of recovers on here. I mean, there's a total of 4 recovers potentially if you really need to do some recover on anybody. A total of 3 shoves. There is a disarm and a pin on here as well. So there's a lot going on this particular tree.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's good. And if for some reason you need 3 shoves, which I'm trying to figure out a scenario, I guess steadfast and protection, somebody right on top of a point. But if you can get all the way down the tree, there's even a secret third shove.
Right.
So if you get lucky and you really need that many shoves, well, he's got you.
Definitely does. Definitely does. No, so overall, I mean, I like Luke. I think he's going to see a lot of play, but I think that's exactly what you would want out of this particular character, is that you would want to see him getting a lot of play, seeing the table a lot. He is, again, the most iconic character to begin with, outside of Vader. He's the one who really started it all. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and don't forget, on the expertise, the defensive expertise is also better on this side too, which makes sense. It's Sarisu, but 1 gets you a block and turns a crit to a hit. 2 and 3 gives you 2 blocks, turns a crit to a hit. But if you manage to hit that 4, it's still 2 blocks, but now you're turning a crit to a failure.
yeah,
So not the best defensive expertise we've seen on any character, but solid.
yeah,
So there
a
you
little,
go.
a little bit better, a little bit better for sure. So, but yeah, we definitely do like it. So let's go ahead and jump into Leia Organa, also known as Bosch, in this one. So I'm pretty excited for this. This sculpt, they did say, is going to come with a couple of different things. I believe it's going to come with or without the helmet, and I think with or without the thermal detonator, if I remember correctly. So a lot of different ways to build the sculpt. So that's pretty exciting, I think, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Oh, and we forgot to mention, same with Luke. You're either going to be able to do Tatooine Luke from the beginning of Return of the Jedi, or a Throne Room Luke from the end of Return of the Jedi. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think he has like a different tunic or something like that. Is really what it comes. So pretty cool, pretty cool. But I think like the differences that we get with the secondaries and the supports are pretty cool in this one. There's a little more to them, I think, than anything else. But Leia Organa here, she has a couple of different keywords that Luke didn't have. So she has bounty hunter. Again, she has rebel alliance. She also has scoundrel and spy. So, and she is a secondary, 4 squad points. She is a secondary with 9 stamina, 2 durability, and like all of the rest, she is Galactic Civil War era.
Yeah. I'm actually excited to see what silly things people end up doing just because of the bounty hunter. And I assume once the Hondo box comes out, probably Scoundrel is going to start to matter.
Hmm.
So it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to see that. And it makes sense. She's in disguise. The whole spy thing, like it's great, but it's gonna be fun to see where Leia ends up because of all those tags.
Yes, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think she'll be able to slot into some different list than I think we're used to seeing her in. One thing I'm interested to see is where the spy tag goes because this is the first we've really seen it. We don't really know a whole lot that's going on with it, but it does end up having something impactful in the very first her first ability, which is fan out. So at the start of this unit's activation, one character in this unit or another spy may reposition. So a full advance into somewhere, and this is global. There's no restriction on where this is. So I kind of like this ability, but there's not a lot of spies to use it yet.
Yeah. This is just more of that seeding things in for later. Like, my word, I never thought I would say this, but I really hope we get either an Andor box or probably more likely we'll get like a Rogue One box. And
Yeah,
then, I mean, just about everybody in that box is going to be a spy. So, because I assume with the popularity of the show, and I mean, Rogue One, I think is a fan favorite of most people. So
for
because
sure.
it was just a good movie,
Yes.
and so I think we'll see more spy action in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is it's a keyword that we'll definitely be seeing in the future, and I think she's going to definitely fill into any list that has that, just because this ability is so good. So she does also have one active ability that's a low blow. So choose a character in this unit, an enemy character it is engaged with. You push the enemy character 2 away from the allied character, then push the chosen character 2 towards the enemy character. After all moves are resolved, this unit may make a focus action, and this costs 2 force. So a lot of displacement, a lot of movement going on with this one.
Yeah. I really like that there's so much positioning so far in this box. Like
Mhm.
there's so many things you can do, but this one is very strong because you get a focus action. You get to, of course, we know with those pushes, you don't exactly have to go one after the other. Like you have that range of you're still going towards, but you can kind of position things interestingly.
Yes.
Plus, I mean, this kind of reminds me a little bit. I mean, it's different, but it reminds me a little bit of like a force push. So it feels like it's gonna be really strong because it's almost better than a force push because of all the other little details you get in it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's a lot going on with this. I like that it does have the focus, so it does give the extra dice once you do make the attack. So this is something you're probably going to be doing primarily before you attack. You're going to use this ability and then get that focus and do your attack. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. I mean, it's a push that's range 2, so I mean basically that's triple the amount of range 1, because range 1 is like an inch, range 2 is 3. So a lot more movement with this push. Not as great as force push, but there's a lot more going on with this. You're getting that focus out of it, and you're getting to move your character while you're moving their character. So I think there's a lot going on here. It'll be interesting to see how this gets played once it's on, getting more mainstream use.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, and then so there is a reactive ability called Fearless and Inventive, and this one does cost a force. When a character in this unit makes a melee attack as part of the combat action before dice are rolled, this unit may use this ability. Add 2 dice to the attack roll for each enemy character other than the target character that is not wounded and engaged with one or more character in this unit. So this one is interesting because basically you're only adding the dice if they're engaged with 2 people.
Yeah, this is one of those gonna be super situational, but I mean, we've seen in games for good or ill, you get in these weird positions where like you're in struggle 2 and 3, you're rolling the same objective, over and over and over because the force is not with you. And then slowly there starts to be this giant melee around that point because what's everybody trying to do? They're trying to get the bonus points. And so I feel like there's going to be like one moment where this ability is going to be amazing, and then the rest of the time I don't even know if you're going to use
Yeah, no, I don't see this one getting used very often. Low blow probably will get used pretty frequently, but
Oh
at two
yeah.
force, it's going to be also it's you're going to have to really watch your force economy with this one. So yeah, there's some interesting things. She does also have one innate ability. I want 50,000, no less. So when a character in this unit wounds a primary unit, gain an additional momentum token unless the unit's controlling player spends a force.
Again, as happy as I am with her first couple abilities, and I think they're amazing, this is another one that's going to be super situational. It will be amazing if you get into the exact scenario where they are out of force, they've got a primary that already has damage on them, and then you get to hit them with this. But I don't know how often that's going to happen. You're just going to be so excited when it does that you're going to be chasing that high till the next time.
Yeah, and to be fair, secondaries normally are not attacking primary units. They're usually going after support. So this is rarely going to get used. It's a nice added bonus, and you don't have to sit there and pay for it because it's an innate ability. So there's no force required for this. It just happens, but it's not. I don't see it going off very often, simply because Leia Bosch is not going to be that. She's not that going to be hitting that hard enough to really take those primaries down. I mean, and just go into that more. Looking at her over at her stance card, if she does the most damage she's going to do, she's doing. Let's see, that is 9 damage, which isn't going to one shot a primary. She could. I take that back. 10, depending on where she goes on her expertise chart. Because on her expertise chart, on the blaster side, 1 to 2 gets you a crit, 3 gets you a crit and a damage, and then 4+ gets you 2 crits and a damage. So she's going to get damage there. Or if she's in melee, 1 expertise gets you a damage, 2 to 3 gives you a strike and a damage, and then 4+ gets you a crit and a damage. So she could potentially get up to like 10 damage is about the highest, but that's not normally taking out a primary.
No, no. This is gonna be one of those. Yes, I want to set up a scenario just based on the circumstances of the field. Like maybe their primary's taken some early damage from another attack, and then you happen to get Leia into position where she can then finish them off, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, like it's awesome, but I wouldn't go out of my way to try and make this happen because the most likely scenario is that you just cost them a force.
Yeah,
Like don't chase this, but if it happens, great.
yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, and she's only rolling 6 attack dice, whether it's ranged or melee. She can attack at range 4. I mean, so she's not rolling a lot of dice. Fearless and Inventive is only in melee. It's not going to be happening very often that you're going to be adding the 2 dice with that one. So I just don't see it. What I do like is, man, the first, if you look at her top row, the first 4 is every condition in the game. She can do pin, then disarm, then strain, then expose. She is a condition monster for sure, and that's I just love that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's so. What you're using Leia for is, frankly, it's actually interesting because her abilities make you think that you should be using her to finish off a character, but if you look at her tree, she's the person softening them up before the final blow. Like she's making things as awkward as possible with uh low blow, and then I mean her very first success is a pin, so you're probably low blowing somebody back, sticking them there with pin, and then if you need to shove them or just keep stacking more conditions on, like that's what Leia's going to be doing, and I think it's going to work just fine. I would like her last 2 abilities, just treat them as bonuses
Yeah,
because I think she's already good with her first 2 abilities, and that uh tree. You don't even it's just gravy at that point.
Yeah. No, she's just dishing out conditions left and right. That's really what you're using her for. I mean, even if you're just getting a pin and a disarm, sweet. Now you've pinned somebody, which is like we've already discussed. It's one of the top two conditions in the game for by most people's standards. If she doesn't knock the person out, then they disarm them, and they're still in the order deck. Okay, now you don't get your expertise unless you go ahead and shake that. So, I like it. I think she's overall great with those things. Her expertise for her defense isn't the greatest. She's rolling 5 defensive dice at range 6 in melee. 1 to 2, she's getting 1 block. 3 plus, she's getting a block and reducing a crit to a failure. So that's nice, but it's pretty just meh, I guess, overall for that. But having a reduction on a secondary is always nice too, though.
Yeah, and I kind of like, I'm gonna keep leaning into the lore. Leia's always been like a tactical fighter. Like you never think of Leia of like she's not Chewbacca ripping arms off of droids or anything, but she's the one who's like analyzing the battlefield and figuring out what you need to do, and like that's where Leia is. So I feel like this represents that part of that part of her character.
Yeah, without a doubt, this is a very good character. I mean, and we are going to be getting another Leia in February as well because there's going to be another Leia in the Ewok box. So it'll be interesting to see what she is because I think that one is a primary, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's probably going to be a lot of like Ewok and Rebel Alliance synergies, and maybe. Oh wait, no, we got didn't we get that spoiled? Maybe I shouldn't talk about it. Never mind. Never mind. Shh. Never
We
mind, everybody.
we did get it spoiled. Well, yeah, there is definitely some because it does have an indoor keyword, so there is definitely some different synergies there, which are really cool. Which we will definitely be talking about in a couple of weeks for sure. So
I remembered as I was talking about it. Everybody, never mind. Move on.
all right, so yeah, looking at the last part of the box here, we have Lando and R2D2 inside job. Of course, this is Bar2D2 and Lando in his bounty hunter outfit. They do have the keywords of Rebel Alliance, Scoundrel, and Spy. Galactic Civil War. They are a 3-point cost, 0-4 support unit with 7 stamina, 2 durability. I do like these. I mean, everybody likes Bar2D2, of course, though. So that's the big key there is that we do have Bar2D2. And they do have another interesting ability to start with Mingle for 1 force. Each character in this unit can dash. If there is no enemy characters within range 3, they can advance instead.
Yeah, I like this because it feels like it's going to be very good early on because you're going to be able to get them into better positions. I mean, remember, be careful. Don't send your supporting characters into doom in the first couple of turns. But their first activation, you should be able to get them wherever you're going to want them to be, just because of that advance.
Yeah, I mean, basically a double movement for one, like 1 force, you get to double move. Really nice for sure. There are 2 reactive abilities. Element of Surprise for a force. When this unit makes a combat action before dice are rolled, it may use this ability. Characters add 2 dice to each attack roll made as part of the combat action. After each attack is resolved, if the attack contains 2 or more failures, this unit gains exposed.
Yeah, this is again, and I like because this box is very much feeling like you are infiltrating a crime lord's domain,
Mm-hmm.
but this is another very situational one. Like you're gonna hope that you get to have your cake and eat it too, because we know how good expose is,
Yes.
and you are rolling the dice twice on whether or not you're gonna get exposed. but it feels like it's worth it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and what happens if you get exposed the first attack and then the second attack you get exposed again, so you put this damage on yourself because of it? It's like, man, you're really hurting yourself to sit there and roll some extra dice. Yeah, I don't know how often this is going to get used. I'm sure it's going to get used by plenty of people from time to time, but competitively speaking, like you're not. I don't know how much you're going to want to risk putting damage on yourself.
Yeah, I I have a feeling, jumping ahead a little bit and looking at the stance card, it does feel a little bit like this particular unit stance card was built with this in mind,
Hmm.
because it feels like you do get some heals in there that you can take advantage of to maybe mitigate this. But yeah, I don't think you should just be pulling this card and then using this ability every time. This is another one of those, think about it before you use it.
Definitely, definitely. And the other reactive ability is forward planning. When an allied primary unit within 4 or an allied secondary within 4 starts its activation, this unit may use this ability. The activating character may remove one special condition, and there's no force on this one as long as they are not injured or wounded.
Yeah, I like I like this ability because this kind of feels like that moment when R2 comes up to the top and then shoots the lightsaber over to Luke, and everybody's like, "What's happening?" And so I think that's cool. I think it's nifty. I I after playing with Sabotage Showdown though, I really just kind of wish that these abilities that said like remove a condition just said heal instead,
Yeah,
because heal's stronger. But on the other hand, this one, you you get you get a more efficacy because it's got a bigger bubble to work with.
hmm,
So I don't know. I just kind of wish that we didn't have both heal and remove a condition from
yeah.
itself. Like, but that's just me being nitpicky. I understand they wanted the rules of heal to be very specific, and then they're also adding this other component so that we have more options for abilities. So ignore me, everybody. I'm just nitpicking. I just wish she had one mechanic so I didn't have to remember.
No, I mean, but I do like this one. I mean, because especially what is something that you're really wanting to do to the primaries and the secondary units? You're wanting to pin them so that they can't sit there and come back. This removing the pin without having to sit there and use a recover action to remove it and shake that condition is pretty nice. I mean, so I think this is I think this will be used quite a bit depending on how people are playing against you and things along those lines.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. It's a great ability. I'm nitpicking a minor detail. Everyone, ignore me. This ability is very good. Like, I think out of all of the reactive abilities that we've talked about in this episode, this is probably the one that you're going to use the most. I would say, because it seems like the most useful, and it gives you this sense of you're moving up your supports,
Hmm.
behind your primaries who have hopefully, and secondaries who have hopefully gone before them, maybe taken a few hits, and now you're like, cool. You put strain on this thing that's 3 away from getting getting wounded. Not anymore.
Yeah,
Like, deal, deal.
yeah, very nice. But one thing I do like this last ability, this innate ability that they have, the clever disguises. While this unit's order card is in the order deck or in reserve, characters in this unit can't be targeted by ranged attacks. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, I love this because and this is kind of me assuming Happy Magic Christmas Land, where your reserve deck is being nice to you, but you can do some stuff with Leia's reposition, get move these guys up, before the start of their activation, and then now they're safe from ranged attacks. Long as you're not fighting against somebody like Darth Maul or Asajj, who are like, I don't care about that. I'm gonna move across the entire board and hit you. But usually in the early stages of the game, your supporting characters are getting hit with ranged attacks because you should be keeping them back a little bit. And this says, nope, you got to get in a melee with them. So neener neener.
Yep. No, without a doubt. So I mean, it's like I said. Overall, I like the abilities that this one comes with. Very interesting. They do have just of course their stance card is a little lackluster, but we kind of expect that when it comes to support units. It's nothing going to be nothing super exciting. But I mean, overall for a support, It's actually not that bad. They have a range 4 attack with 5 dice. Their melee is 6, and then 5 dice across the board for ranged and melee defense. So not too bad. Their expertise chart again is okay. 1 to 2 they get a damage, 3 they get a strike and a damage, and then 4 plus they get a crit, a strike, and a damage, and that's for range. Melee exactly the same. 1 to 2 is getting a strike, 3 is a strike and a damage, 4 plus is the crit strike damage. But one thing that they do get, I do like overall their defense expertise. 1 gets a block, 2 gets a block and reduces a crit to a hit, and 3 plus gets you 2 blocks and reduces a crit to a hit, or a crit to a strike. So I do like their defensive expertise. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, and again, I like the feel of the card. They call that slippery.
Yep.
And yeah, that's what I expect. This is very good. Plus, look at that tree. There's a push and a pin.
Yes.
And you just need 3 successes to get a push and a pin.
Yes.
Like that's it's great. It's great. This feels like Lando and R2 on Jabba's sail barge doing all the shenanigans to keep everybody off of Luke while he's going to town with his lightsaber. Like, very nice. Very nice.
Very good. I do like it. There's a lot of recovers on this one again as well. There's potentially up to 3 recovers. Like you said, there is a shove and a pin. You can also do a disarm in there or just a regular medium or a small move. So there's a lot of different things going on here. You're not going to be knocking anybody out with this. At most, you're going to be doing, looks like 7 damage or 8 with the expertise. So not a whole lot going on there, but it is overall, I think, a pretty decent card for a support.
Oh yeah, and hey, Lando brought the drinks with him. Lando's ready to party. We're good to go.
Of course, I mean he's got Colt 45 right there with on land on bar 2D2, because that's what he was a Colt 45 drinker. We know that.
See, so we're ready to go.
But yeah, no. So overall, that is the Luke box. It is I think it's going to be seeing a lot of play. There's a lot of hype around it. Me personally, I'll be playing the next one probably a little bit more than the one that we talked about today. That is definitely going to be the Vader box, because I'm all about the Sithness. But yeah, no, I like this box. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy playing it, and I think it's going to live up to the hype that it should be having for being the Return of the Jedi Luke.
Oh yeah. I am definitely getting this box. I want to play it. It looks like it's going to be fun, and Galactic Republic. You haven't shown me the power of the light side, but maybe the son of the chosen one will live up to my expectations, and we'll get a win for the heroes, huh? How about that?
So you're saying that Luke and the Rebel Alliance will redeem them? Is that what you're saying?
Oh well, I'm just saying that it's gonna be the return of the Jedi. That's all. That's all.
Fair enough. Well, I do, as always, want to thank all of our listeners for listening. If anyone is wondering who's watching on YouTube, we use Shatterpoint database for all of the cards and all of the information that we were showing on the recording here. But as always, thanks for listening. If you want to help support the channel, definitely go ahead and rate, review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and like, subscribe, ring that bell for any additional content whenever that comes out. But as always, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.